So topic today, we're going to dive into native advertising, and you guys are sort of hot and heavy in that area, but I like to take a step back and tell me in a little bit more granularity about June Group, what you guys are doing, what you're focusing on, and what the technology enables.
Absolutely. As you know, the name of our company means truth, and as a longtime ad industry veteran, I wanted to create something that was transparent and tangible and really delivered measurable results for clients. So we do two things. We take videos and distribute them to millions of people via native insertions in top-tier publishers, and we do content discovery, in other words, driving traffic. We back it all up with a promise of 100% viewability, 100% transparency, and 100% brand safety.
Okay, so that makes sense and obviously is in high demand, but tell me what's my experience? Give me a publisher client, I'm a viewer, I'm on this page, I'm consuming content, whether it be written or video. What's my experience if June Group is actually integrated into that publisher's page?
Well, we never want to interrupt you as a viewer. We want you to select the content because you're interested in it, and that's kind of a tough trick. So being in top-tier publishers or even niche publishers is really key to our business, and we have relationships with some great ones across a lot of screens. And we made a decision a few years ago to go into mobile apps in a big way, and so we invested in a piece of technology called an SDK, Software Development Kit, that enables us to plug our technology right into a popular mobile application and reach millions of users in that way. So when our clients buy us, it's across screens, but a lot of the audience is being tapped from mobile devices because that's really where they're all going.
Okay, so I think this is a really important distinction, right? Because if we talk about native advertising, what it means in a browser and that experience, it's a slightly different, right? The content's being served up, but we have lots of questions about, is it below the fold? Is it seen? Is it organic? Does it compromise editorial integrity? All that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But the amazing thing about mobile video, which is sort of the big aha that I think I personally am waiting for the industry to get, is that it's 100% of the screen typically, 100% of the time the video is rolling. So tell me how that user experience differs on mobile more specifically, if a video is served up and it's technically paid media.
Yeah, well, it's funny because we've been running in mobile for a long time, and last year 70% of the video views we did were on mobile devices, and the performance there is better sort of counterintuitively than the web. And for the reasons you mentioned, it takes up the whole screen, the buttons are bigger, you're not competing with chat windows and other things, or even multiple monitors, so we see great performance there. The trade-off is that networks are flaky, connections don't always work, and if you look at sort of from the technical end, we see a lot of these views happening over Wi-Fi.
I was just going to ask that,
and so that erases a lot of the concerns, and I think most video is consumed over Wi-Fi networks, and people have just become accustomed to that. And that has changed for us over the past few years. We're starting to see that happen more and more. As mobile devices become the first screen, and a lot of people, including our chief technical officer, would argue that that's already the case, usage patterns are all very different in a lot of ways.
Interesting. And so in your opinion, what works about native advertising versus where are the challenges?
Well, a lot of challenges, scalability and so forth. You see viewability being the main challenge,
But by scale, I want to be specific. So by scalability, you mean the lack of avails and the lack of liquidity sort of in the premium video marketplace.
Exactly. Well, you see all brands that advertise in online video want to get tremendous scale, and yet 50% of online video is not seen by a human. So there is a sort of a problem there because you have lack of quality content in front of which to put a pre-roll, and yet huge demand, and it's being filled up by a lot of stuff that isn't necessarily serving brands the way it should.
Okay, so I again want to add, I just want to make sure we're really specific because the non-human traffic fraud thing is kind of an issue, right? So typically when we talk about that, when we use broad brushstrokes like 50% of video views are non-human, et cetera, that's really holistically the entirety of the pot of video, right?
Video,
so, but you're working with premium publishers, correct? So
we're sort of the antidote to that. And when I say the name means truth, it sounds like kind of a moniker, but it really is a whole philosophy of how you do business. We never accepted venture capital funding, for instance, because we wanted to build the company in a way that we thought would deliver the most value, not necessarily scale the fastest. They're two separate things. So we have relatively few publishers, only a couple of hundred, but they get us access to 100 million people. So I don't make guarantees that I can't back up. I'm not in the business of writing checks to media agencies. When somebody works with us, their product is always visible and it's always brand safe because we're running on a distinct set of publishers. We're not just buying and selling traffic like so many people do in this industry.
So when you, and we're going to talk to publishers later, but when we talk about things like, you know, how June is different from pre-roll, et cetera, or mid-roll, I mean, how do publishers address the issue of understanding what the real avails are? Or is like June Group and this sort of, you know, the way you guys are placing on a page or in a mobile app, is that just all upside? Like, what's that lens from a monetization perspective?
Well, it depends on which type of publisher you're talking about. And our mobile SDK, again, is really our focus. And for that publisher, we're going to deliver, first of all, great technology, because in this world, let's say you and I had a mobile app, I'm asking you to take my code and insert it into your mobile app and then reapply to the iOS store or to the Android store and have people update it. So that's a big ask. So the technology has to work right. We have Fortune 500 brands, and understanding now, as a slight aside, that a lot of mobile advertising is app installs and apps advertising to other apps, but that's not us. So that's another big difference. So then it's very high payouts because we're delivering premium advertising, and we can fill it because there's exceptional demand for what we do. So if you're a publisher client of ours, and we do consider our publishers very important clients, we're going to deliver them a premium experience the same way that we do for our brand clients and for consumers who are the third party that we have.
Premium experience meaning the caliber or quality or the integrity of the quality of the actual advertising media itself?
Right. Well, a lot of competitors of ours that are asking for their SDK to be installed in this app are bringing game ads, and they're bringing incentivized app installs and other things that are less premium.
Yeah, it's like penny stock versus trading on the S&P index, right?
Exactly, it is. And brands are really only just starting to catch on in mobile video. It's kind of misunderstood that brands are there in a big way. It's beginning now, but by and large, the advertising economy in mobile ads has been app installs.
So this is pretty much the way this is priced is on a performance basis mostly.
Correct.
Okay, and who's actually selling typically? Is it the publisher, or you guys actually do you have a sales force?
We have a sales force. Many of them are here today.
Okay, look at that. Aw, that's warm and fuzzy.
Yeah.
We're all...
So it's available programmatically. We have our own API, and we're being integrated in.
But how do you, I mean, let's talk about buying performance-based video in programmatic, because, well, there are two things here, right? Native advertising, which is mean it's not a 15 and 30.
Right.
And two,
Can be.
It can be, absolutely fair enough. But typically, one of the biggest frustrations of brands that are investing in content and storytelling is that to put that into a 15 and 30 isn't organic, right? So it's not a 15 or 30, and then you don't actually have sort of a line of sight or transparency to the total number of avails.
Right.
So how's that work programmatically?
Well, it's pretty simple. You can buy as many interactions as you want. And it is a bit off-center from most of what you see that happens in those programmatic environments, which is pre-roll. Pre-roll is the lifeblood of the internet right now, and there's a lot of reasons why it's a terrific buy for brands, but there are also some limitations, and so that's where we come in. When a brand wants real visibility, when a brand wants to know exactly where they're running, when a brand wants to reach a specific demographic audience, for instance, 100K households and above, or only LDA legally compliant alcohol consumers, we can deliver that audience specifically, and they can buy it quickly and easily and at whatever scale they need.
And what, this is a question that is going to be a thematic of the day. I'm going to ask everybody, like what, because you're on the brand panel, what works for native advertising?
Well,
what's the secret sauce?
There's no secret sauce. It's a lot of hard work. What works is to know exactly where you're running and to get what you pay for. Because the idea of native advertising is a wonderful one. You're in the top tier publications, you're in the feed of the content, and your ad is something that is of interest to that consumer anyway, and so it's a natural sort of connection. But building the structure that does that in a really tangible, transparent way is where the hard work comes in. And again, it took us a long time to build the SDK and to gain the audience that we have, and so that we can offer it to brands directly, not buying and selling through a whole host of other third parties.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Mitchell.